A weekday morning inside a large municipal government building. The lobby is active, but controlled people move in steady directions, guided by signage, counters, and security checkpoints. Past the main corridor, a row of public restrooms sits along the wall, positioned at equal intervals between departments. There is no announcement drawing attention to them, no instruction on how to use them. Yet people approach, enter, and exit without hesitation. The interaction is brief, consistent, and largely predictable. What stands out is not how the space is used, but how little variation there is in how it is approached. Individuals who have never visited this building before move with the same confidence as those who work here daily. They do not pause to interpret the layout. They do not need to negotiate entry or ask for clarification. The structure appears to be immediately legible. This kind of consistency does not emerge spontaneously. It is the result of a system shaped over time, one that extends beyond this building, beyond this city, and even beyond a single country. Public restrooms operate within a framework of accessibility, standards that define not just their presence, but their form, spacing, orientation, and internal structure. In a building like this, the restroom is not treated as an isolated facility. It is part of a broader institutional requirement tied to public access. The building itself serves multiple functions: administration, documentation, public service. As such, it must accommodate individuals with varying physical conditions, mobility levels, and sensory needs. The restroom becomes one of the key points, where these differences must be accounted for. Without disrupting the flow of the space, accessibility standards begin to take shape at the planning stage. When a building is designed for public use, it must meet specific criteria before it can be approved. These criteria include requirements for restroom availability, but also for how those restrooms are structured internally. Door widths, a turning radii fixture, heights, and spatial clearances are all defined within regulatory documents. These specifications are not arbitrary. They are based on accumulated observations of how people move within constrained environments. For example, the turning radius inside a restroom stall is not simply a measure of space efficiency. It is calibrated to allow a wheelchair to enter, rotate, and exit without obstruction. Similarly, the placement of grab bars is not decorative. It reflects repeated assessments of where support is most effectively applied during transitions between sitting and standing. Once these standards are defined, they are integrated into building codes. This means that compliance is not optional. Architects, engineers, and contractors must follow these specifications during construction. Inspections verify whether the implemented structures match the required dimensions and placements. If they do not, the building may not receive approval for public use. Over time, this process creates consistency across different locations. A person entering a restroom in one municipal building may find a similar layout in another. Even if the buildings were constructed years apart, the positioning of accessible stalls, the height of sinks, the presence of clear floor space, these elements begin to form a recognizable pattern. This pattern reduces the need for interpretation. Instead of encountering a new environment each time, individuals interact with a familiar structure. The restroom becomes less of a unique space and more of a standardized interface within the built environment. Standardization also affects how these spaces are maintained. Cleaning procedures, inspection routines, and repair protocols are developed around the same set of expectations. Staff members are trained to recognize when a fixture is out of compliance, not just when it is broken. For example, a loose grab bar is not only a maintenance issue, it represents a deviation from the standard that ensures safe use. This alignment between design and maintenance reinforces stability. The restroom continues to function as intended, not because each user adapts to it, but because the system continuously restores it to its defined state. In addition to physical structure, accessibility standards influence how restrooms are located within a building. They are not placed arbitrarily. Distance from primary circulation paths, proximity to elevators, and visibility from common areas are all considered. The goal is to ensure that the restroom is reachable without requiring detours or additional effort. This is particularly important in buildings with multiple floors, or complex layouts. An accessible restroom on a single level is not sufficient if other areas remain unreachable. As a result, standards often require that accessible facilities be distributed across different sections of the building, ensuring consistent access regardless of where a person begins. Signage plays a role in reinforcing the system. Symbols indicating accessibility are placed at consistent heights and positions. Using standardized visual language, these symbols are designed to be quickly recognized, without requiring detailed reading. Over time, they become part of a shared visual vocabulary that guides movement within public spaces. The effectiveness of this system becomes more apparent when it is absent. In environments where accessibility standards are not applied, users may encounter uncertainty. They may need to search for suitable facilities, adjust their movement patterns, or rely on assistance. This introduces variability into what would otherwise be a routine interaction. By contrast, standardized restrooms reduce this variability. They allow individuals to move through different buildings with a similar set of expectations. The interaction becomes predictable, not because the users are the same, but because the environment has been aligned to a consistent set of rules. The development of these standards did not occur all at once. It involved gradual adjustments based on observed limitations in existing designs. Early public restrooms often lacked consideration for individuals with mobility constraints. Over time, feedback from users, advocacy groups, and regulatory bodies led to revisions in design guidelines. Each revision introduced new requirements or refined existing ones. Clearances were adjusted, fixture placements were modified, and additional features were incorporated. These changes were then codified, ensuring that future constructions would adopt the updated standards. As more buildings were constructed or renovated under these guidelines, the presence of accessible restrooms became more widespread. What was once an exception began to shift toward expectation. The system moved from accommodating specific cases to defining a general condition of use. This shift is reflected in how people interact with these spaces today. Most users do not consciously evaluate whether a restroom meets accessibility standards. They simply enter and use the space. The absence of friction in this interaction indicates that the system is functioning as intended. Even for users who do not directly rely on accessibility features, the standardized layout contributes to overall usability. Wider doorways, consistent fixture placement, and clear circulation paths benefit a range of individuals, including those carrying items, assisting others, or navigating temporary constraints. In this way, accessibility standards extend beyond a specific user group. They shape the environment in a way that stabilizes interactions for a broader population. The restroom becomes a point where these design principles are applied in a concentrated form, but the effects are distributed across the entire building. The institutional context ensures that this system is maintained over time. Regulations are periodically reviewed and updated. New buildings are required to meet current standards. While existing structures may be retrofitted to improve compliance, this ongoing process prevents the system from becoming static. At the same time, the core principles remain consistent. The focus on clear space, reachable fixtures, and unobstructed movement continues to guide design decisions. These principles are reinforced through repeated application, creating a stable framework that persists across different environments. Inside the municipal building, the restroom continues to operate within this framework. People enter, use the space, and leave without needing to interpret its structure. The layout supports their movement without drawing attention to itself. Maintenance staff adjust minor deviations, ensuring that the space remains aligned with its intended design. There is no single moment where this system becomes visible. It is distributed across design documents, construction practices, inspection procedures, and daily use. Each component contributes to a condition where the restroom functions reliably as part of the public environment. This reliability is not dependent on individual awareness. It is embedded in the structure of the space and the processes that sustain it. As long as these processes continue through regulation, construction, and maintenance, the restroom remains stable in its role. In this sense, the accessibility of public restrooms is not a feature. added to the system. It is a condition that has been integrated into how the system operates. The standards that define it are not separate from the building, they are part of the building structure. And because these standards are applied repeatedly across different contexts, the restroom continues to function in the same way, regardless of location. The interaction remains consistent, the layout remains recognizable, and the system continues to support movement without requiring adjustment from those who use it.